Football, the Unyielding Card Master Strikes Back. Episode 71. I have Jiang Ning, who do you? I have Jiang Ning, love who. The game is over. Jiang Ning also slowly walked off the court. After taking notes of the match, he returned to the referee's lounge accompanied by Orya. Jiang Ning, you rest here, and I'll come back later. Hard work, thanks to you, this game came to a perfect ending. I'm sure many fans will appreciate you. Orya's eyes shone brightly, and he became closer to Jiang Ning. Even she didn't notice that the position she was standing was also unconsciously approaching Jiang Ning. She works as a referee receptionist, and during the World Cup, she is responsible for Jiang Ning's schedule and living at the Car World Cup. In other words, it was Jiang Ning's personal assistant. Therefore, according to the regulations, as a receptionist, she must maintain a polite distance from Jiang Ning, the so-called ceremonial distance. That is, to show respect distance, a bit like the kind of respect that subordinates have for their superiors. Therefore, Orya was not allowed to get too close to Jiang Ning, but she was already unconsciously attracted to Jiang Ning, fascinated by a certain trait in him. Okay, I'll go first, you can call me at any time if you need to, Orya said with a smile, and a pair of big eyes were bent into a crescent. Okay, thanks. Jiang Ning nodded, then got up to see off Orya. Immediately afterwards, Jiang Ning locked the door back. It's time for the system to hand out rewards again. Sure enough, at this time, the voice of the system sounded in Jiang Ning's mind. Congratulations to the host for completing the penalty for a World Cup event. The 18th master successfully completed the law enforcement of the stadium, and after the system test, the penalty was fair and rigorous, and 3,000 fair points were rewarded. DDDD. Congratulations to the host for the expansion of law enforcement influence among fans around the world, and this time an additional 10,000 fair points are rewarded. Fair point balance, 13,000 points. Jiang Ning was stunned in his heart, and then smiled. 13,000 points? The rewards are actually a lot more than before. You know, Jiang Ning has won a total of 7,000 fair points in 2 consecutive games. This time, it was 6,000 more points. Both basic and additional rewards have gone up a notch. The lottery pool has been activated. Will the lottery be held immediately? At this time, Jiang Ning showed a deep look. After thinking about it, he decided not to smoke at first. After all, according to his current panel attributes, he is not in a hurry to see what attribute bonuses are needed. And in terms of skill, Eagle's Eye has also made his judgment very smooth and accurate. So after thinking about it again, he decided to keep these fair points first. Because according to the lottery options of the system, in addition to the junior draw and the advanced draw, there is also a super draw. The junior draw requires 2,000 fair points. The advanced draw requires 5,000 points. The highest level of the super draw requires 50,000 points. In the absence of any special needs, it is better to save up these 13,000 fair points. As subsequent matches become more intense, the number of points earned will definitely increase. When you have saved enough 50,000 points, you may have an unexpected surprise when the time comes. No lottery for now. After Jiang Ning decided, he immediately gave orders to the system. Subsequently, Jiang Ning simply ate something to replenish his physical strength, before taking out his mobile phone from his suitcase. When he opened the phone, he found that there was already $9.99 plus red words on the neck icon. Jiang Ning was stunned, and then opened his neck. The moment you can open the neck page, the phone begins to vibrate violently, and the number of messages in the lower left corner is also skyrocketing at a speed visible to the naked eye. 100, 500,000, 800, 2,000, 6,000, 9,000, 99.99. Jiang Ning was stunned again, then clicked the screen and switched the page to the personal information department. Ronaldo, a little fan brother, and other 1 million people have paid attention to you. That horse little fangirl and other 2 million people have paid attention to you. I have Jiang Ning, who loves who, and so on. 4 million plus people have followed you. Background messages. You have 100,000 plus messages. Please check it. Your blog post Departure Car World Cup has 2 million plus people like you. Jiang Ning looked at his neck and was stunned. He vaguely remembers that before he set off for the Car World Cup, he only had about 500,000 followers, but at a glance, it has actually reached an astonishing 5 million people's attention. This is something Jiang Ning didn't expect, let alone why he suddenly became popular, attracting so many fans. Immediately afterwards, Jiang Ning opened the message list. Inside are more than 100,000 plus messages. Jiang Ning looked at it a little, and most of them were messages that supported him. Brother Ning, I have seen your judgment in the World Cup. I really like you. You have won glory for our Huaxia people, and you will be your little fan sister in the future. I'm here again, Brother Ning. Come to leave you a message once a day. I hope you will flop me after you see it. I have Jiang Ning. Who do you have? I have who Jiang Ning loves. Brother Ning shot. The small card will be there. The red card shakes. Let me go. Referee Jiang Ning, since the Car World Cup began to pay attention to you, please continue to cheer. After 20 years, Huaxia people finally appeared in the World Cup again. You are the pride of our Huaxia people. Brother Ning, I hope you can enforce Namor's game. Only if you are there, Namor can play the light he deserves. You are the light of justice on the court. Brother Jiang Ning, you want to cheer for the Car World Cup. I will always watch you run on the field. I want to be optimistic, I will definitely overcome the disease and win glory for the country like you. Jiang Ning glanced at it roughly. After all, 100,000 plus messages, he simply could not read them all. However, there was a message that caught Jiang Ning's attention, which was a blog post from Wu Jin. No matter where you are in the world and encounter any danger, please remember that there is a strong motherland behind you. Please let go and run around the World Cup without any worries. I'm wearing camouflage and I'm ready for you. At Jiang Ning. After Jiang Ning saw it, he smiled slightly and immediately replied to Wu Jin's blog post, replying, "Then I must have a red passport with me." At Wu Jin. Later, after Jiang Ning thought about it, he also officially sent out a blog post. First of all, thank you for your love and attention. The fair play flag will still be held high in the next competition. Strive for fair competition and great competition. This blog post is Jiang Ning expressing his gratitude to his fans. At the same time, it is also Jiang Ning who expresses that he will continue to work hard to bring fair and rigorous penalties to the game. After sending it, Jiang Ning also turned off his mobile phone and took a short break. But what he didn't know was that his blog post made many fans who liked him excited. Wow! Jiang Ning's blog post was issued, which immediately caused countless netizens to shake. At this time, when the fans had just finished watching the beautiful team and the Unyielding team, at this moment, millions of fans who paid special attention to Jiang Ning bib were set up. The machine has received a notification from the bib. Your concern. Jiang Ning published a blog post. Please click to view. Suddenly, countless fans poured into the neck and gathered in the comment area of the blog post of 437 Jiang Ning. At the same time, in a villa in Huaxia, Wu Jin, wearing a camouflage uniform, showed an appreciative look at Jiang Ning's back on TV. How? I'll just say that this Jiang Ning is very good, right? This is what a Huaxia man should look like. It's so beautiful. Watch his penalty and see how enjoyable he is on the pitch. With him there, this game has become much better. The other players have been obeyed by Jiang Ning education, which really gives us Huaxia people's face. Wu Jin pointed to the TV boastful, not sparing his own words of praise. Xianan smiled and nodded along. It's really good. I found out that the game can look so good, and I know that the referee can be so good. Personality. Regular ball games, domineering Jiang Ning. Xianan also showed an admiring look. Huaxia can produce such an excellent referee and win glory for the country, and she also feels very proud. After all, Huaxia is really too weak in football. Fortunately, now there is a Chinese Jiang Ning shining in the Carl World Cup. Jiang Ning had been carrying it in the lounge. After a long time, there was a sound of footsteps. Jiang Ning got up and opened the door, and sure enough, he saw Olia coming with some water brothers and snacks. Here it is, Jiang Ning said with a smile. Olia nodded, and then had a hint of crimson on her face. Well, bring you something to eat. In addition, your next law enforcement game schedule is also out. Next game, Team Bashi versus Team Selvi. Jiang Ning was stunned and asked, Bashi and Selvi? Ao Feng nodded quickly, and an excited look flashed in his eyes. That's right, it's Nammer's team. Episode 72. In addition to football, the one who has been kicked the most is Nammer. Jiang Ning is about to referee the fourth game in Carl World Cup. Team Bashi versus Team Selvi. It's an encounter, and this match is arguably one of the most anticipated by many fans, for the simple reason that Bashi is Nammer's team. Nammer is the brightest star of the Bashi team. Even if you look at the whole world, you can be among the top. His basic skills are solid, and the technique under his feet is excellent. In addition, the Baxi people are originally flexible and ethereal, so Nammer is also very ornamental when he plays the ball. He combines his skills with agility to show a unique style of football and show his skills on his feet to the fullest. To describe Nammer playing football, it may not be the best at football, but it is definitely the coolest. He is also known to the public for his very personal way of playing, as well as outstanding technical and personal talent, and has become one of the hottest stars. And the Bashi team is an undoubted traditional team. They have won the World Cup 5 times, so the Bashi team is also the favorite to win this Carl World Cup. Someone once said that if you haven't watched the Bashi team, then you haven't seen the World Cup. This is a slightly exaggerated statement, but it is a fact. What World Cup fan wouldn't follow FC Bashi's match? Therefore, the Bashi team has also attracted the attention of countless fans around the world. They are also affectionately called by many fans, 5-star Bashi, Samba Legion. Jiang Ning is about to enforce this game, and I believe it will also affect the emotions of countless fans. Because Jiang Ning's strict and fair judgment is loved by many fans. No one has ever seen such a tough and personal referee, and it is a pleasure to watch such a referee enforce the law. In such a hard-hitting encounter, you can also see Jiang Ning's law enforcement, which undoubtedly adds a lot of highlights and expectations to this game. Jiang Ning, the game will start in an hour. You can make some preparations first. Warrior put down the food and said to Jiang Ning, good. Jiang Ning nodded, and a look of anticipation flashed in his eyes. This will be his 4th game in the World Cup refereeing enforcement, and this match will receive no less attention than the showdown between the beautiful team and the Unyielding team. For referees, the stronger the team, the more accurate the referee is needed, because every whistle touches the emotions of countless fans. Therefore, Jiang Ning is also looking forward to it. By the way, Jiang Ning, the attention of this game is very high. Before the game started, there were already many fans who signed a joint appeal to you to referee this game. I didn't expect the result of the lottery. It's really you. Now that the news has been announced, announced, I'm sure many fans will be thrilled. There was an unconcealed excitement on Oria's face, and at this time she was more like a pure fan than a FIFA receptionist. Want me to be the referee? Why? Jiang Ning was also stunned when he heard this, and asked, because of Namor. What happened to Namor over the years? The fans feel very sorry for him. But it's different when I meet you to enforce the law. Then Marl has hoped to let go today and really run to your heart's content, Oria said, and his gaze towards Jiang Ning also flashed with admiration and expectation. This kind of look is as if looking at a beloved, expecting him to shine and return home in triumph. Even Oria himself didn't notice how ambiguous his eyes were. Oh. Jiang Ning nodded and didn't say anything more. As a referee, it doesn't matter who the other party is or what happens to you. Jiang Ning treats all the same in the process of law enforcement and will not have any personal color. However, Jiang Ning also knows something about Namor's situation. He was indeed targeted too much. Because of his excellent individual ability, rapid and sharp breakthrough ability, and shooting skills, Namor once became a nightmare for opponents. He's too strong. Outstanding personal ability, smooth offensive action, and great creativity and core organizational offensive ability. His existence is something that no team can ignore. Therefore, in order to deal with Namor, the opponents can be said to do everything they can. Judging from Namor's experience in the past few years, his experience is undoubtedly distressing. In the last World Cup, Namor played for the Boshi team and was maliciously fouled by the opposing defender in the opening 2 minutes. At any given time, as long as Namor has a football at his feet, at least 2 or more defenders will attack him. Yes, just attack. In order to deal with Namor, the defenders use foul moves at all costs. And in order not to eat cards, the movements of these defensive players are studied and specially trained, and they are extremely hidden. In the face of such a foul action, even the referee cannot accurately judge every time. On the internet, there have been some blog posts about what happened to Namor. For example, in addition to football, the one who is kicked the most is Namor. Namor plays football, others play Namor. As long as Namor gets the ball, he will fall down when he touches it, and moan without disease. The player who was violated the most times in the last World Cup, there is no one. From this information, we can see how distressing Namor's experience has been over the years. Even many spectators who did not watch the game couldn't help but speak up for Namor after learning about his experience. But what about this? What happens in football is not something that spectators and fans can control. Not only that, but Namor is also one of the players who have been plagued by injuries the most. Why? Because during the game, there were too many malicious fouls against him. Under such a foul, how can there be no reason not to get hurt? There are even many fans who do not know Namor who maliciously targeted, attacking him on the internet, calling him fake fall and moaning without disease. Fans who love Namor can't help but sigh and feel unfair for Namor. What did he do wrong? Just because of his excellent ability, he will be maliciously targeted, and even let him get injured. One flying shovel, one collision, may cause Namor to be injured, causing cultivation to be cultivated for several months or even longer. For these reasons, Namor missed many important matches. Gradually, he did not dare to play the ball unscrupulously anymore, or even dare to hold the ball for too long. Because he is afraid that because of his injury, it will affect the important games behind and cause the team to lose. Judging by the changes in Namor over the years, after several years of depression and injuries, he can no longer play as carefree as he once was. The boy who was once spirited is gone, and there is no light in his eyes. Time passes slowly. It's finally close to the start of the game. Jiang Ning slowly stood up, changed his clothes, put on the intercom equipment, and then walked to the stadium under the leadership of Oria. Rumble. As soon as Jiang Ning approached the stadium, he heard deafening cheers and screams. The fans on both sides were enthusiastic, especially after seeing Jiang Ning appear on the sidelines. The fans of the Boshi team shouted even more crazy. Jiang Ning! Jiang Ning! Jiang Ning. Hearing these shouts, Jiang Ning was slightly stunned. This was the first time he heard the fans call the referee's name in unison. Then, players from both sides began to slowly walk into the arena. The contest is about to start. Episode 7. This is their last World Cup. Huaxia Studio. Huaxia TV. This is the live broadcast of the second round group stage of the Carl World Cup. Now we will bring you the second round of Group G, Boshi against Selvey. I am the commentator of this game, He Wei, and the guest we invited today is a good friend of mine, Guanzi Yuan. Guanzi Yuan. Hello everyone, I'm Guanzi Yuan. I'm very happy to accompany everyone to watch the game tonight. He Wei, Xiao Guan, what do you think about today's game? Seiki Ziyuan. This match is actually something I have always wanted to see, and I have paid attention to it early since the group schedule was announced. He Wei, oh? Are you also a fan of the Boshi team? Seiki Ziyuan, I'm a fan of Namor. He Wei, so it is. But speaking of Namor, he is 30 years old this year. How? He's older, he will be 34 in the next edition. Maybe this World Cup will be his last. Seiki Ziyuan, yes, because he has been plagued by injuries, and by then he has reached a critical point in his age. Guanzi Yuan, it's really hard to say whether you can participate in the next session. He Wei, I hope that in this World Cup, Namor can show himself to the fullest and leave no regrets. He Wei, Xiao Guan, what do you think of this game? Seiki Ziyuan, it's actually hard to say. Although the Boshi team is very strong, The Selvi team is also known as the biggest dark horse of this World Cup. Seiki Ziyuan, according to the results of the qualifiers, the 403 survey team is close to the World Cup with an undefeated record. Seiki Ziyuan, it is indeed unimaginable that a European team can have such a record. Hiwei, yes, just like the Clot team in the last World Cup, they are also striking, and they have been singing high, which is beyond the expectations of many people. Seiki Ziyuan, according to the dynamics of the two teams before the game, Selvi should play his best in this game. Guan Ziyuan, in the face of Boshi, their most basic requirement is not to lose and win steadily. Hervey, yes, and for the Boshi team, there is a key factor, and that is whether Namor can play. Hiwei, according to the information, Namor is still recovering from treatment due to injury. How? So whether the coach of Boshi will let Namor play in this game is a question. Guan Ziyuan, I hope he can play. After all, the referee of this match is Jiang Ning. He can run boldly with confidence. Hiwei, yes, we have to say something about that. Hiwei, this highly watched match will be enforced by our Huaxia referee Jiang Ning. Hiwei, I see that when this news was announced just now, there were already frying pans on the internet. Seiki Ziyuan, haha, yes. Jiang Ning's popularity is very high now, not to mention the game of the team where Namor is enforced. Guan Ziyuan, everyone is looking forward to whether Jiang Ning's penalty can bring hope to Namor. Hiwei, well, now that the game is about to start, let's also take a look at the interaction between the fans and friends in the broadcast room. The World Cup is in full swing. The matches are also getting more and more exciting, competing for the title of World Cup title. A lot of people say it's going to be the best World Cup to watch. Because many stars reach the advanced age of athletes, there will be many veteran players who retire after this session. It can be said that this is their last World Cup. Inside the Huaxia live broadcast room, the barrage refreshed quickly, and the game had already reached its peak before it even started. Brother Ning, I'm here, and I have to cheer for today's game. God opened my eyes, finally let Brother Ning referee Namor's game. I have been looking forward to it for a long, long time. It's hard to say if Namor can play today. I heard that the injury is quite serious. This should be the first time Ning has awarded a game against a strong team like Boshi, right? I'm nervous. Jime rush. Line up the formation and blow up the field for Ninga. Brother Ning, come on, the Huaxia fans are always behind you. The live broadcast room has only started for 5 minutes. That's an influx of 30 million online viewers. In the future, more and more people will pour in. There are fans who like to watch the World Cup matches, and there are also fans who like Jiang Ning. This game touched everyone's hearts. At this time, Shaohe Stadium, the game is about to start. Players from both sides began to walk slowly onto the field. In an instant, the stadium was set on fire. The fans cheered. The scene was huge. Jiang Ning entered with the referee team and stood in the middle of the players on both sides. The fanatical roar rose and fell one after another, and the emotions of the fans at the scene were extremely excited. Team Boshi versus Team Selvi. Today's game is extremely important for both teams. Neither the Boshi nor the Selvi team want to lose in this game because it is related to their qualification situation. Especially the Selvi team, they must at least get a draw today. Otherwise, their next initiative will not be in their own hands. Judging by the lineup of both sides, Team Boshi is undoubtedly more luxurious. They have what they call the talented team brain. Namor also has a talented striker killer Richarlison. At the same time, they have a very lethal Vinicius on the left winger. The front line of the trio is undoubtedly a sharp giant blade. In addition, even on the bench, the Boshi team has several excellent forwards. If the Boshi team really plays a full attack formation, there will be 4 powerful forwards on the front line, and they will be invincible. And in the back and central defenders, there are also excellent players like Casemiro and Silko. Such a lineup combination can be called luxurious. The whole team plays 433 formation, both offensive and defensive. At the same time, the Boshi team also has an aggressive formation to play, that is, the 424,424 formation, which is undoubtedly full of firepower. If the Boshi team puts on a 424 formation today, it will definitely provide a wonderful ball feast for the fans. Look at the Selvi team here. Their defense is extremely tough and is affectionately known by fans as the Balkan Eagles. And the Selvi team is tall, and the average height of the whole team has reached an astonishing 191 centimeters. The whole team plays the 352 formation, paying more attention to the control of the ball in midfield. Although in terms of the overall lineup, the Selvi team is far less luxurious than the Boshi team, but the Selvi team also has some great players. On the front line, their center is Mitrovic, known as the striker who carries the banner of Selvi, and is also the top scorer of the Selvi team. In addition, there is a center forward Vlahovic, who shoots brilliantly and plays the role of a fulcrum in the team's attack. And the captain of the Selvi team is the undisputed core of the team, the forward Tadic. Such a lineup, although not comparable to the Boshi team, can definitely not be said to be hopeless. According to the data analysis given by the official before the game, the probability of winning this match is 51.83%. The probability of Selvi winning, 22.54%. The probability of a draw between the two sides is 25.6%. In other words, the probability of the Selvi team being undefeated is close to 50%. the iron-blooded defense of the Balkan Eagles, when it meets the talented Bashi team with a luxurious lineup, which is stronger and weaker. This game, the answer is about to be revealed. It is also worth mentioning that before the start of the game, Selvi's head coach publicly told the media, Team Selvi has thoroughly studied Team Bashi's Namur. It's good that Namur doesn't play. Once he plays, the Selvi team will keep an eye on Namur. Even, they can keep a clean sheet against Namur. As soon as these words came out, they immediately aroused the anger of countless fans. Fans thought that the Selvi team was too arrogant and cursed. Team Selvi is floating. Really think that someone on the internet said that you are a dark horse. It is really a dark horse? Maybe a donkey. Clean sheet Namur? You also have the face to say such things? You just haven't seen Namur's brilliance and forgotten Namur's former glory. Our horses will tell you today what kicking is. I'm afraid you want to deal with our horses by means of foul catches, right? Don't even think about it. The referee of this match is Jiang Ning of Huaxia. For the abuse of these fans, Selvi's fans are naturally not to be outdone. Before the game even started, fans on both sides had already started a scolding battle. So the gunpowder smell of this game is equally strong. Soon, the players from both sides were singing the national anthem and shaking hands. Beep. Jiang Ning checked the time with the assistant referee, then raised his hand high and blew the whistle for the start of the game. Episode 74. Good ball. Jiang Ning signaled that this ball is effective. Beep. Jiang Ning blew the whistle for the start of the game. This duel between the Samba Legion and the Balkan Eagles has also officially begun. However, judging by the players present, the horse is not in the starting lineup. Obviously, because of the injury, maybe he will not play this race, and it is difficult to say whether he will replace the horse later. But even if Namur did not play, the enthusiasm of the fans on the scene was still high, shouting 5-star Bashi. The football is controlled by the Servi team underneath. At the beginning of the competition, the 9 Balkan Eagles showed a strong spirit of victory won. Not only did the Bashi players launch an extremely physically draining high-position press, but the action in the process of pressing was not small. They are fighting hard. At this point, the football was passed to the half of the Bashi team by the midfielder of the Selvi team. A group of players immediately pressed on. The whole Selvi team is tall and big, and the picture of rushing towards the Bashi team together is extremely oppressive. However, the players of the Bashi team are not flustered. Although their formation looks a little chaotic, it is even a little scattered. But this is exactly what characterizes the Bashi team, dynamic and flowing. Even the defensive players are very thoughtful and flexible. In the process of defense, you can also rely on the technique under your feet and the opponent's grappling. Unlike Selvi's iron-blooded defense, Bashi's defense is more flexible, the defenders make timely fills, and the interception is also decisive and fast. Boom. The football was broken off the touchline by a player from the Bashi team. Selvi's attack was interrupted. It's also a very common way to defend. After destroying the ball out of the sideline, one can let your own defenders quickly return to their positions to ensure the defensive formation. Second, it can interrupt the opponent's offensive rhythm. Fans know that for the players, wonderful goals are often a flash of inspiration that bursts out in an instant. And this kind of inspiration requires a burst of energy, or a burst of potential when the mind is highly concentrated, when the body is extremely excited. Interrupting the opponent's offensive rhythm can also suppress the excitement of the opposing player. The out-of-bounds ball was thrown and a large number of players from the Selvi team pressed on. They have plenty of firepower on the offensive end, except for the 3 defenders who stayed behind to prevent the opponent from counterattacking. The other players all pressed on. This is to fight against the Bashi team with a bang. At this time, the head coach of the Bashi team on the sidelines looked at the head coach of the Selvi team with some surprise. I didn't expect the other party to be so radical. Such a formation and such a style of play can indeed cause pressure on the Bashi team on the field. It would be nice if you could score a goal, but once the attack is interrupted by the Bashi team, you can steal the ball. With the speed of the players of the Bashi team, they can quickly fight back. At that time, with just 3 defenders, you want to prevent the Bashi team from firepower on the front line? Pipe dream. At this time, the head coach of the Servi team also cast his gaze here, and a hint of pride flashed in his eyes. That's his plan. And the reason why he made such a radical decision is because he thinks he has seen through the weaknesses of the Bashi team at a glance. The biggest weakness of the Bashi team at the moment, which is that Namur is not on the pitch. This is also an opportunity for our survey team. Today, I will trample you 5-star Bashi heavily under my feet. According to the survey head coach, Namur is the soul of the Bashi team. At the same time, he is also known as the brain of Team Bashi. With Namur and without Namur, the state of the Bashi team is completely different, and this difference is reflected in the offensive front. Then Marl is a central point that can perfectly connect the strikers. The head coach of the Selvi team is confident that as long as Namur is not there, the Bashi team's forward line will not be able to organize a strong attack. They can't pose a mortal threat to the Selvi goal, and his strategy is also very simple. Take advantage of Namur's pre-play, get as many goals as possible and open up the score gap. At that time, even if Namur plays, with the iron-blooded defense of the Balkan Eagles, he can at least hold on to a draw and strive to win. Both managers have their own plans and tactics. Now, it's up to the players to play their due form and develop the plot of the game in the direction of design. At this time, the football was assigned to the left side of the front court. Survey striker Vlahovic gets the ball. The light from the corner of his eye flickered, and when he saw that there was not much of a good opportunity, he chose to forcibly break through. Boom. Vlahovic is 190 centimeters tall and is also known as the all-round center of the Survey team. It can break through and organize attacks, and at the same time has a strong shooting ability. So at this time, he chose to fight himself. Accelerate, pause, accelerate again. The movements are very smooth. Continuous shifting, coupled with Vlahovic's already strong physicality, allowed him to finally break through the defense of the Boshi players. At this time, he was standing on the left side of the Boshi penalty area, and the penalty area line was at his feet. It's still some distance from the goal. Moreover, in front of Vlahovic, there is a line that can be penetrated. The defenders of the Boshi team hurriedly arrived. They are going to block Vlahovic's way. Never allow the opponent to get close to the Boshi goal. But, at this very time, Vlahovic made a shocking move. He actually chose not to rush forward after shaking past the defenders, but raised his foot sharply. He is going to force the door. Hiss, the Boshi defenders were shocked. You must know that Vlahovic is still a certain distance from the goal at this time, and with the position on the left side of the penalty area where he is standing, the angle of the shot is not large. But on the other hand, he just chose to force the shot. This shot is extremely sudden. Not only did the Boshi defenders not expect it, but also their goalkeepers. Unprepared, although reluctantly, but very thoughtful, let the back line of the Boshi team be in chaos. Shout. The football flew high, shot from a small angle, and rushed to the dead corner of the goal. At this time, the goalkeeper of the Boshi team simply did not have time to intercept. Boom. The football smashed on the pillar, didn't get in. Although this shot was very sudden and caught the opponent off guard, it was not a good opportunity, and the possibility of scoring was not great. However, although this goal did not score, it does not mean that the Selvi team's offensive will slow down. After the football was blocked by the upright, it still fell at the feet of the Selvi team players and attacked at the back point. Boom. Another makeup shot. The Selvi players were almost instinctively reacting and shooting with their feet up. But this time, the goalkeeper of the Boshi team has reacted. He intercepted in time and saved the football. But they still didn't dare to relax. Although the football was saved, the ball also flew high, and the height advantage of the Selvi team was obvious, and it was difficult for them to grab the ball. In other words, the Selvi team's attack continues. At this moment, a figure rushed from the rear like a cannonball, and then jumped up. It's Survey striker Mitrovic. Known as the top scorer of the Selvi team, he is also the most expensive player in the Selvi team. I saw his sudden forward insertion. The height advantage of 189 centimeters and physical fitness were vividly reflected at this moment. He broke through the defender's gaze and slammed out of the crowd. Boom. Header on goal. His head hit the football hard. And this ball, the power is all eaten in football. There is no trace of waste. The football changed direction in an instant, and once again rushed to the goal of the Boshi team. The face of the goalkeeper of the Boshi team changed. He didn't have time to think about it, and almost instinctively reached out to stop the football. Boom. The Boshi goalkeeper's hand touched the ball. Stopped it? No. Hands off. The power of this ball is too great. It is rare that the power of the header can reach the point where the goalkeeper can get rid of it. Although the football was intercepted by the goalkeeper, it still rushed towards the goal. Swish. Football should be on the net. At this time, Jiang Ning's arm pointed forward, indicating that the goal was effective. The score changes, 0-1. Less than 5 minutes into the game, the Selvi team scored the goal. Episode 75. Team Boshi is just like this, abuse them. Unexpectedly, it was the Selvi team who scored first. Rumble. The fans of the live Selvi's team erupted into a roar of excitement. One by one, elated, with such an advantage at the start, they could even shatter the glory of the Boshi team in this game. On the other hand, the fans of the Boshi team showed an incredulous look. They looked at the Survey fans who were celebrating wildly, and they were a little unacceptable for a while. How could the godlike 5-star Bahi in his heart be hit head-on at the beginning? This is not what they expected. Is Boshi without Namor really vulnerable? Team Selvi, come on, we are waiting for you to score another goal. That's no more than Boshi burst their goal in the first half. It doesn't take much, 7-1 will do. Let them score a goal and save some face for Boshi. The more the fans of the Selvi team shouted, the more excited they became. They quickly took out paper and pen and really drew a 7-1 score on it. The painting reads, remember this score, 7-1, Selvi versus Boshi. This is a naked taunt. It is also an extremely arrogant performance. This scene undoubtedly angered the fans of the Boshi team, and immediately issued an angry curse, and the smell of gunpowder between the fans on both sides became heavier and heavier. Swish. At this time, the players of the Selvi team also made a sliding kneeling motion on the grass to celebrate the team's lead. They also ran in front of the head coach of the Boshi team and made a palm down gesture. It's crazy. The players of the Selvi team even dared to provoke the opposing head coach. The head coach of the Boshi team immediately frowned. The other party is really too arrogant. Beep. At this time, Jiang Ning sounded the whistle, signaling the players of the Selvi team to pay attention to their behavior and continue the game as soon as possible. Meanwhile, inside the lounge of the Boshi team, Namor is being treated here by the team doctor. His ankle is still recovering and must be treated and changed regularly. He saw the live game through the TV footage in the lounge, especially when he saw the players of the Selvi team making such a provocative action towards their coach. Namor's face suddenly became gloomy. I'm going to play. Must play. Namor raised his head and stared at the team doctor with burning eyes. Nope, you're not fit for strenuous exercise right now. The ankle injury is just about to recover, and if you hurt again at this time, it will probably affect your next game. The team doctor immediately shook his head and very firmly refused Namor's request. They all know how important Namor is to the team. If they get hurt again, they can't afford it. But we're behind and the team needs me. This game is important for Boshi. Namor's voice was so deep that the team doctors present could feel his determination to fight for the team. The team doctor is still unmoved. Namor, I can understand your feelings. But please calm down. The World Cup has just begun. If you get injured again, you probably won't be able to play the next game. At times like these, choose to trust your teammates. He knew Namor would love to get back on the pitch, but as a team doctor, his duty is to cure every patient. When Namor heard this, he could only be silent in the end. The team has the rules of the team, and even if he is a top star, he still has to follow the team's instructions. The manager won't let him play, the team doctor won't let him play, so no matter how much he says, it won't make any difference. Namor, calm down, trust your teammates, the game has just begun. The team doctor spoke again, and then instructed Namor to lie down and continue the treatment. Beep. In the arena, Jiang Ning blew the whistle to signal the game to continue. The players of the Boshi team regrouped and started to advance towards the survey half-court with the ball, and the players of the Selvi team are still excited at this time. After all, just scored a goal. It's when morale is high. Their high position pressed harder, and the movements under their feet began to cross the line a little. Sure enough, Boshi's left winger, Vinicius, tripped up. Beep. Jiang Ning sounded the whistle, gave a stern warning to the players of the Selvi team, and awarded a direct free kick to the Boshi team. The players of the Selvi team seemed to be a little dissatisfied with Jiang Ning's penalty, and spread their hands against Jiang Ning. Jiang Ning ignored it, and his punishment naturally had its own standards. If the Selvi player is more dissatisfied, he will directly show the yellow card. Subsequently, Jiang Ning took out the spray and delimited the position of the free kick. This ball was also given to center Richarlison to take the penalty. Richarlison is a talented young goalscorer known as a striker who has played several beautiful matches with Namor in the forward line and has solid shooting ability at his feet. Boom. This one free kick was sent off. Richarlison opted for a direct shot. However, he did not play well on this goal, and the football was slightly deflected off the goal. And seeing that Richarlison failed to score, the players of the Selvi team deliberately laughed a few times. This is also the tactic given to them by the head coach of the survey team. As much as the rules allow, irritate each other as much as possible. Especially a couple of strikers on the front line. Namor is not there. It is difficult for them to play at the level they deserve. If they can change their mentality, they will be even less likely to pose a threat. In the playing field, the mentality of the players is also very important. I have to say that the head coach of the survey team has two brushes, although they are some small means that cannot be on the table, but they are very practical. Sure enough, after hearing the other party's almost provocative mockery, Richarlison clenched his fists and revealed his anger. Don't meet them in general. Namor is not there, we can't mess around. Scoring is the best counterattack. At this time, Vinicius ran over and patted Richarlison's shoulder to remind him. Only then did Richarlison take a deep breath, suppress the anger in his heart, and then slowly retreat. The game continues. By this time, the ball was at the feet of the Selvi team. The Survey team's breakthrough is fast. Obviously they are desperate to score another goal. Shout. The football passed quickly at their feet and came outside the Boshi penalty area. Selvi center Mitrovic holds the ball, and a flash of excitement flashes in his eyes. He has already scored a goal for the team just now. 3.0. Now the game is less than 10 minutes. As long as he can score another goal as soon as possible, the confidence of the Boshi team will be completely crushed by him. He will also become a hero to Selvi. Thinking of this, he quickened his pace and suddenly accelerated. With the advantage of his body, he rushed into the penalty area of the Brazilian team. Forcibly break through. Both of the Selvi strikers seem to love using this trick. Because their physical fitness is not weak, it is easy to cause oppression to the other party during the breakthrough process. Even if the breakthrough is unsuccessful, maybe you can create a penalty. Boom. But at this time, the Brazilian defender stretched out his foot. Mitrovic fell to the ground in response. Violent. The fans of the Selvi's team jumped up excitedly and let out a burst of screams of surprise. Mitrovic tripped in the box. That's a good penalty. Episode 76. Don't question my decision, I have the final say on the court. The scene erupted into screams. The fans of Selvi were simply excited. This is just the beginning, and a goal has been scored. Not long after, another penalty. This doesn't take off yet? This is not stepping on the Boshi team to qualify? You know, the Boshi team is a team that has won the World Championship 5 times. If the Selvi team really wins this game today, they will be the focus of global attention in one fell swoop. Both players and coaches will soar after today. Suddenly, not only the fans of the Selvi team, but also the players and coaches, began to get a little excited. Such examples are not without them, and the Clot team in the last World Cup is the best example. Like them, the Selvi team is also known as the biggest dark horse in this World Cup. It seems that the Selvi team is following the old path of the Clot team, step by step and moving towards the peak. And now the most important thing is to step on the Bahan team fiercely. For a while, they even forgot their original intention before this match started. And in the first place, they just wanted to keep the draw. But now it's not the same 18, people are like this, desire is flying. When things reach their psychological estimates, they will not be satisfied, they will only think of getting closer. Come on, referee, give Army God a penalty. Yes, it was an undoubted penalty. The referee from Huaxia, it's time for you to play. This is your job, isn't it? The referee will also witness this historic moment and you will give us a penalty that will set us up for victory. The fans of the Selvi team were so excited that they even joked about referee Jiang Ning. But what they didn't realize at all was that Jiang Ning didn't seem to have any intention of blowing the whistle at all. At this time, the players of the Selvi team also came up and signaled to Jiang Ning that this was a penalty. It's not. Jiang Ning was very crisp and shook his head directly. What? Mitrovic tripped and fell. Didn't you see? At least you should take a look at VAR and judge, right? The players of the Selvi team immediately argued with Jiang Ning. No need. Also, question my sentence. On the pitch, I have the final say. Beep. After speaking, Jiang Ning directly blew the whistle, signaling the game to continue. This scene immediately made the fans of the live surveys team dissatisfied. And a second ago they were still celebrating. They were about to set the win. But in the next second, he was directly poured with cold water by Jiang Ning. But Jiang Ning was unmoved. After warning the Selvi players with their eyes, they continued to watch the progress of the game. The video referee team has also slowed down and played back the picture just now. In the footage, Mitrovic breaks through into the box with the ball while the Bashi defender intercepts it. It can be clearly seen that after the defenders of the Bashi team stretched their feet, they were the first to touch the football. According to the rules of the football game, as long as the defense and scrambling in the penalty area meet 2 points, they will not be awarded penalties. First, the defensive player must have the possibility to fight for the football. Second, the defensive action of the defensive player must be to touch the football first. The first point is easy to understand. If the defender is absolutely impossible to touch this football, then as long as the player with the ball trips, it must be a penalty. For example, some defenders make tackles from behind players with the ball, and such actions are impossible to touch the football, and they are obviously aimed at people. As for the second point, it is actually very simple. If a defender does not touch the ball when he reaches for a fight or interception, or if he tripped the player with the ball and then touched the football, it is considered a foul in the box. The opposite does not constitute a penalty. Therefore, based on the above 2 rules, the extension of the feet of the Bashi team defenders just now is a defensive interception action that meets the norms. As for the fall of Mitrovic, it is not in itself a standard for awarding penalties. Many fans don't know much about the rules of football, and some even think that a fall in the box will get a penalty. This is a naive idea. Mitrovic did fall, but can he not fall when he rushes into the opponent's penalty area with the ball so rampage? Wow, there was an uproar at the scene. Part of it is fans from the Bashi team, and part is from the Selvi team. It's just that the fans of the Bashi team are happy and glad that there is such a professional and decisive referee in this game, and the fans of the Selvi's team are disappointed. The game continues. The Bashi team took the ball and began to organize the attack. Midfielders are looking for opportunities. Soon, the football was given a long pass to the feet of Richarlison. Richarlison picked up the ball with a chest thrust. However, he did not rush to break through, but continued to distribute the ball to Vinicius on the wing, continuing to look for opportunities. Boom! Vinicius snapped on his feet, followed by another feint, which immediately deceived the defenders of the Selvi team. At this time, the personal ability of the players of the Bashi team is reflected. 5-star Bahi, Samba Legion, is definitely not in vain. Their players have superb foot skills. Shout! I saw Vinicius tiptoe, and the football immediately turned in another direction. Immediately afterwards, Vinicius made a dashing turn. This scene made the defenders of the Selvi's team slightly stunned. That is, they were momentarily stunned, so that they did not notice that the outer instep of the right foot of Way 727 Theseus had gently pushed on the football. Straight plug. The football was passed into the middle of the penalty area. At this time, Richarlison has also launched and stepped forward. This pass is so beautiful and very thoughtful. Vinicius attracted the attention of the defenders with a slightly exaggerated, Samba-like move. Therefore, the moment this ball was passed out, no one noticed at all. Roar! Richarlison roared and took the perfect spot. Raise your feet, Bali. Richarlison's kick is extremely powerful. After he shot this kickball, even the whole person jumped up from the ground and fell to the ground with his back on his back. This is even the weight on his body has been added to it. He's going to score a violent goal. Boom! The football rushed to the goal. At this moment, the goalkeeper of the Selvi team did not even have time to react, and could only instinctively pounce in the direction of the football, because it's all so fast. From Vinicius' sudden straight pass, to Richarlison's violent volley, it all happened in a very short time. Boom! The football smashed heavily on the beam, and the huge force made the goal tremble violently. The ball didn't score. Such a good opportunity, but he did not seize it. Richarlison covered his mouth in disappointment, revealing a painful look. Episode 77. Why didn't he listen to the advice and actually question Brother Ning's sentence? Inside the Huaxia studio. How? Wow, Richarlison, this is a great opportunity. How? It's a pity that the force of the kick was too great, and the football hit the crossbar and was destroyed out of the touchline. Guanzi Yuan, so hard. Is this to send this football to God? Seiki Yuan, I think Richarlison seems to have changed his mentality. Too urgent. How? Yes, especially if you are one goal behind shortly after the opening game. How? This is a big blow to the players of the Boshi team, and it is easy to have a certain impact on the mentality. Seiki Yuan, Namor is not there, and the Boshi team's forward line seems to be missing something. Hervey, there is a missing link. This link is too important. How? Forwards like Vinicius and Richarlison are actually very capable of individual ability, Hervey, but the problem is, they need a teammate who can give comfortable passes. Guanzi Yuan, Teacher Huey got to the point. Seiki Yuan, I just wanted to say that although this pass for Vinicius just now is very exquisite and very beautiful, the position of the pass is actually not the most comfortable for Richarlison. Huey, that's right, and there is a lack of a sole figure between them who can organize continuous attacks. Guanzi Yuan, it's a pity that Namor is not there. Otherwise the performance of these two is definitely more than that. Herway, the most important thing for the Boshi team now is to find a way to suppress the offensive momentum of the Selvi team. How? If the Survey team extends the score again, then the Boshi team will play very hard later. Guanzi Yuan, but speaking of which, there was also an interesting scene on the court just now. Guanzi Yuan, Selvi's fans seem to have been shouting for Jiang Ning to give a penalty. Hiwei, the fans of Selvi don't seem to know the rules very well, and they take it for granted. Hiwei, and Jiang Ning's judgment has always been very rigorous and professional, especially for key penalties such as penalties. The probability of error is not a big deal. Guanzi Yuan, yes, then let's take a look at what the fans and friends are saying in the live broadcast room. At this time, in the Huaxia live broadcast room, the barrage is being sent intensively. Team Selvi's players 666, why don't you listen to advice? He would actually question Brother Ning's sentence? Brother Ning's punishment is still so sharp. With Brother Ning, VAR is a decoration. Selvi's fans are also a little too self-conscious, right? Let's see if they can still laugh when Namor comes on the field. Namor may not be able to play. It is said that he is still in injury treatment. Is Team Selvi really the dark horse of this year? Wouldn't you really be able to win against Team Boshi? Why do players always question my husband's decision? Don't they all watch the news? Upstairs, make it clear, whose husband? At this time, in the playing field, Richarlison missed a shot and missed the opportunity. The out-of-bounds ball thrown by the Boshi team then failed to organize the attack, and the ball was eventually snatched by the Milvi team. The football was handed over to the Selvi goalkeeper. The goalkeeper did not rush to get the ball out, but made a forward gesture to his teammates. This gesture is signaling teammates to press forward. It also shows that he will send the football directly to the front court. It's also a way for the team to attack. In the team, it is not only the midfielders and forwards who can organize the attack. Similarly, the goalkeeper is an important part of organizing the attack. It is necessary to mention the type of goalkeeper in the football team. There are roughly two types of goalkeepers. One is a defensive goalkeeper with strong defensive ability, extremely good awareness of ball blocking, and a very good understanding of the trajectory of football. On the other hand, it is an offensive goalkeeper who is not weak in defense, but also has strong organizational and offensive ability. However, offensive goalkeepers are also subdivided, such as kick-off with feet that can be accurately delivered to a certain location, and hand throwing with great power. Even, there is also a very good foot technique. You can directly give up the goal at the key moment and join the offensive end. And attacking goalkeepers also carry a heavy responsibility for organizing the attack, because when the goalkeeper kicks off, no one interferes. As long as the goalkeeper's kickoff can be accurate, there is indeed a hint of a long-range free kick. Obviously, the goalkeeper of the Selvi team is an attacking goalkeeper. Boom! The goalkeeper of the Selvi team kicked the ball away. The football rose in response and flew halfway. This ball was very powerful, and it rushed directly to the right side of the half of the Boshi team. In an instant, two players from the Selvi's team stepped forward to respond. At the same time, two of the players of the Boshi team stepped forward to fight. Boom! Another kick. 4 people jumping at the same time. However, for the competition for high penalties, the Boshi team is still a little at a loss. After all, the height advantage of the Selvi team players is there. So the football was topped, and it went directly to the direction of the Boshi team's penalty area. This is an extremely efficient quick attack, although the players of the Boshi team have all withdrawn their own half. But after all, the football was still at the feet of the opposite goalkeeper for the first few seconds. Inevitably, some players will not notice, especially the defensive players. Their position at this time is still relatively high, and there is no real card main defense line. Shout. The football was so topped, the players of the Selvi team rushed to the penalty area in an instant. Oops. The defenders of the Boshi team realized that something was wrong and quickly retreated. The two strikers of the Selvi team have joined forces. Mitrovic and Vlahovic. One is 189 centimeters tall and one is 190 centimeters tall. The picture of the two rushing side by side is extremely oppressive. At this time, Jiang Ning's eyes froze. This ball is not offside, it is a good ball. Shout. The two strikers rushed and went straight to the landing point of the football. The Boshi defender hurriedly intercepted and stuck in position, preventing the two from taking the ball. However, the speed of the two strikers was too fast, and they were prepared to launch in an instant. So when the football fell, the Boshi defenders already realized that something was wrong. The goalkeeper of the Boshi team has also opened his hands, trying to maximize the interception range of his body. His expression was solemn and his spirit was highly concentrated. The football has finally fallen, and it fell in front of Mitrovic's left foot. The left foot is exactly Mitrovic's dominant foot. This football landing point is too comfortable for him. Everything is so perfect. Mitrovic did not pause in the slightest, directly following the footsteps and jumping directly towards the front. Boom! The football was so stomped by him, there was a slight change of direction, rushed to the goal. Swish! The ball went in. Episode 78. Coach, I want to play. The ball went in. Another goal. Beep! Jiang Ning's arm front finger. The goal is effective. Rumble. The whole audience is boiling. Now, 32 minutes into the first half, Selvey scored another goal. It can be said that this goal has already tilted the scales of victory in this game. You know, how long has it been? The Boshi team himself never imagined that they would have such an unfavorable situation against the Survey team. For a while, the players of the Boshi team were a little confused. There was a fatal problem with the team, and these problems were well grasped by the Survey's team and magnified them, resulting in conceding goals. Trailing by 2 goals in such a short period of time is a huge blow to player morale. The mentality of the players will also change after the second goal conceded. Consecutive goals conceded have caused the team's morale to plummet. Sure enough, the faces of the players of the Boshi team were gloomy. They all felt unbelievable, especially Richarlison. Anger, unwillingness, guilt. If it hadn't been for the great opportunity he had just missed, the team would not have fallen into such a situation. Boom! He grabbed the football and smashed it on the ground, venting his inner anger. Hey, Richarlison, don't be like this. The more this happens, the more 730 we have to be calm. At this time, Vinicius came over to try to comfort him, and also hoped that Richarlison could calm down. But Richarlison apparently couldn't listen to anything. He ignored it, smashed the ball, and walked silently to the side. Vinicius sighed, a little overwhelmed for a moment. As the strikers of the team, they are the heart of the attack. If Richarlison loses his cool, it will have a big impact on the team's attack. But without Namur, they are like boats floating in the sea, and they can only follow the current. The skill of one body cannot form strength, and go against the current in this wave. Team Boshi, it's dangerous. Selvey's players celebrated wildly. They hugged each other and roared in the direction of their fans. Woohoo, nice goal. Well done, Mitrovic. Cheers. The cheers of the whole audience belong to you at this moment. Subsequently, several players from the Selvey team also rushed to the sidelines. They danced in the direction of the Boshi fans. Samba dance, flamboyant, proud, arrogant. It was a naked mockery to celebrate with the signature of the Boshi team, and the fans of the Survey's team are also celebrating with tears, holding up the 7:1 banner in their hands, mercilessly mocking and provoking. Team Boshi, but that's it. What 5-star Boshi, what Samba Legion. We Selvey team will be the champions of this World Cup. Even Boshi can't stop us. Who else is our opponent of the Selvey team? The glory of the Boshi team will become the foil of our Selvey team. Team Survey is good, score 5 more goals, and burst their goal. The fans of the Selvey team were extremely excited at this time. They also didn't expect to form a crushing situation, or mockery, or ridicule, or sarcasm. All kinds of sharp, harsh, and unbearable words erupted in the goal seats of the Selvey team. The Boshi fans couldn't believe it was real. The perfect Samba Legion in their hearts should have come to the bombardment, should have been invincible, and invincible. But now he is pressed down by a team that has never been in sight, and in the fan seats of the Brazilian team, there is a young boy who is only 8 or 9 years old. He has oil paint on his face and wears the Brazilian team uniform, and the number 10 is written on the uniform, which is Namur's number. He was just a kid, but he had a fanatical love for football. In the country of Boshi, there are many such children, and he is only one of the lucky ones among the countless children, because he had the opportunity to come to the scene to cheer for the Boshi team, and had the opportunity to see the Boshi team galloping on the field and dancing the familiar samba dance on the green grass. But today's scene broke this little boy's faith. He dreamed of being part of the Boshi team and fighting for honor and love. The little boy covered his mouth in disbelief, tears kept flowing. At this moment, his faith seemed to collapse. The little boy's mother hugged him from behind and wanted to say something comforting. However, my mother couldn't open her mouth, because my mother has also cried into tears at this time. No, Team Boshi, our Team Boshi, what the hell is wrong with you? Why is this? I don't believe it's all true. Namur, come quickly, the team needs your salvation. Namur. At this moment, the fans of the Boshi team shouted Namur's name. It seems that in the hearts of fans, only he can fake the ball. Meters bring hope. And at this time, the Boshi team players lounge. Namur saw this scene through the picture. clenched his fists, and stood up from the bed. The team doctor was shocked. Namor, what's wrong with you? Please cooperate with the treatment. Now is not the time. The team doctor understands Namor's feelings. As the team doctor of the Boshi team, how can they not be anxious when they see the Boshi team lagging behind? But in a hurry, Namor's injury is what they need to take care of more. Namor's breathing became a little rapid, not because of pain, but because of anxiety. The team is in dire straits. How can he sit still? Is the treatment over? Namor asked anxiously. What? The team doctor was stunned. I ask you, is the treatment better? This time it's already fine, but your injury needs to be treated at least again. The team doctor wanted to say something more, but was directly interrupted by Namor. That's enough. Namor stood up abruptly and rushed straight out of the lounge and towards the stadium. No, Namor. You stop. Come back. The team doctor hurriedly wanted to catch up, but how could that Marl catch up so easily? Not even if he is injured, running all the way. Soon, Namor came to the stadium and quickly ran to the head coach of the Boshi team. Coach. Let me play. I can play. As soon as the horse came, he eagerly requested to play. The head coach of the Boshi team was stunned, and his eyebrows broke. He scolded, why are you here? Didn't it make you treat it well? Coach, let me play. I can kick. This game is important for Team Boshi. We can't lose. Namor continued, his eyes full of desire and urgency. However, the coach of the Boshi team shook his head resolutely. As the boss of the Boshi team, there are so many things to consider. The game in front of him is the game, but the future game is just as important. Don't say any more, just sit on the sidelines and watch. The head coach of the Boshi team scolded. Namor glanced up at the fans at the scene, and then at his teammates who were confused. His eyes were red. He pleaded again, Coach, I want to play. Please let me play. Episode 79. Go on Namor, give me a hard blow to them. Meanwhile, inside the Huaxia studio, audience friends, we can see that the score has now become 0-2. How? The leader is the Selvi team. Hervey, this is really something we didn't expect. Seiki Ziyuan, it's been 32 minutes since the first half, and there are problems with the Boshi team. Guan Ziyuan, they have already conceded 2 goals. If they don't make changes, I'm afraid they will break out again today. Seiki Ziyuan, and you can clearly feel that the players of the Boshi team have also changed some mentality. Wei, yes, I saw that Ritualizan's mood was also a little bad just now. Wei, especially in the first half of the game, there is not much time left now. With 2 goals behind, the players began to rush. Seiki Ziyuan, yes, if this gap cannot be closed before the end of the first half, the Boshi team will be passive in the second half. Hervey, actually, we can see that the Boshi team is mainly having 2 fatal problems now. Hervey, first of all, defensively, they seem to be a little unable to stop the 2 tall forwards in the defensive players. Herwei, and today Mitrovic and Vlahovic are in good shape and playing excitedly. Wei, secondly, the offensive end is not playing well. How? 2 strikers, Richarlison and Vinicius. Chui is a little out of form. Seiki Ziyuan, the main thing is that Namor is not there. Seiki Ziyuan, Namor is called the brain of the team, and with him, the Boshi team is complete and the strongest. Wei, yes, I hope that the Boshi team can solve these 2 problems as soon as possible and make changes in time. How? There is not much time left for them in the first half. Seiki Ziyuan, if only Namor could play. Seiki Ziyuan, the fans at the scene have been calling Namor's name now. Wei, we can see that the players of the Selvi team actually danced the samba dance, which is a provocative act. Seiki Ziyuan, I don't think it's rational or sportsmanship. Hervey, maybe this is also a tactic of the Selvi team. Seiki Ziyuan, psychological warfare. Wei, yes, interfering with the other party from the psychological level is also a kind of tactic. Wei, okay, let's take a look at the interaction between the audience and friends in the live broadcast room. At this time, in the Huaxia live broadcast room, after Survey scored another goal, the barrage became dense again. My god, what happened to Team Boshi today? How did you play like this? Namor is not there, there is no solution. Horses, come on, the Boshi team needs you. Don't be afraid of the horse, this game is Brother Ning's field, no one dares to foul you. I really want to see Namor and Ninga in the same frame. The players in the Selvi team are also crazy. Brother Ning gave them a few yellow cards to eat. They're all shouting that, Marl, what about us? All come out and roar. At this time, in the playing field, seeing Namor appear on the sidelines, a burst of shouts and screams erupted when he begged for rice on the spot. Wave after wave. This made the fans of the Selvi team stunned. Never seen a Boshi fan so excited in the entire first half. It suddenly made a noise, as if they were the ones who scored the goal. But soon, the fans of the Perder team reacted, because they followed the gaze of the Boshi fans and saw Namor, who had already appeared on the sidelines. Namor is coming. Is he going to make an appearance? For a moment, the fans of the Selvi team suddenly quieted down. They panicked. even if you don't want to admit it, but that's the way it is. The moment they saw Namor appear, they were all a little worried. It can be seen how heavy the three words Namor are. Even in the hearts of the fans of the Surveys team, they have to admit that Namor is the biggest enemy of the Survey team. Huh? Is he going to appear? Can't sit still so soon? At this time, the head coach of the Surveys team changed his face slightly. Not only him, but also the players. The moment they saw Namor, the pride and arrogance they had just now seemed to be suppressed. At this time, the head coach of the Survey team clapped his hands and signaled the players not to be influenced. Mitrovic also gathered his teammates. He said, "Don't worry, then what if Marl plays? Now there are less than 15 minutes left in the first half. Can he still tie 2 goals in 15 minutes? Impossible. Everyone cheer up and keep these 2 goals, and we naturally have a way to deal with him in the second half. Don't forget, no matter how powerful Namor is, he is just a wounded man with injuries. Our physical advantage can easily block him." Hearing Mitrovic's words, the players of the Selvi team smiled. "Yes, how good are you then? The 2-goal advantage is not so easy to equalize." They are confident that with their iron-blooded defense, they will keep Namor clean sheet. At this time, on the sidelines of the pitch, Namor and Bashi are the head coach here. "Coach, I want to beg. Please let me play." Hearing the horse's words, the head coach of the Bashi team shook violently. Namor had never said such a thing to him, nor had he ever pleaded with him so much. He wanted to play. He wants to fight for the team, even if he is injured. The head coach of the Bashi team turned his head and wanted to say something more, but when he saw Namor's earnest eyes, he couldn't say anything. "Coach, this game is important for us. My opponent will not be weak against the Irvi team next. We must not lose today. The fans, and countless fans, are waiting for us. Waiting for the glory of 5-star Bashi. Coach, please look at them. Please let me play." Namor's words silenced the head coach of the Bashi team. He followed Namor's gaze and also raised his head to look at the fans of the Bashi team. At this moment, he was very touched in his heart. Yes, this game cannot be lost. We must not disappoint the trust and support of the fans. Listening to the call of the Bashi fans, the head coach finally nodded slowly. "Namor, you can play, but if there are any problems, I will replace you immediately. You can't get hurt anymore. Many important competitions await you. Also, since you are going to play, then don't be polite to Team Selvi. Crush them for me." When Namor heard this, a light flashed in his eyes. "Don't worry, coach, it's just 2 goals behind, and the game is only about to start now." Episode 80. Isn't it? Namor madness is deliberately targeted? Namor. 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 The entire Bashi fan shouted in unison. The stadium director also reacted quickly, and immediately turned the camera to Namor on the sidelines. After seeing this scene, the fans and viewers in the major live broadcast rooms also issued barrage support. That's the appeal of top stars. "Coach, I'm sorry, we didn't stop Namor. We seem to be late." At this time, the team doctor who had just treated Namor chased him out. They were panting, and you could see how fast Namor was running. However, when they saw the expression on Namor's face, they knew that the manager had agreed to Namor's request to play. Sure enough, the head coach turned his head and nodded to the team doctor. He said, "If it wasn't for the desperate situation, I wouldn't have agreed to let Namor play. You always keep an eye on his injuries, and I will replace him as soon as there is a situation. A victory in a game and a player's future. I will not hesitate to choose the latter. Is there a problem?" Several team doctors glanced at each other, and could only agree with a wry smile. "The head coach has all spoken. How can our team doctor object? Dare to have any opinions?" Beep. At this time, Jiang Ning blew the whistle and signaled that the Bashi team would make a substitution adjustment. The scene erupted into screams and cheers. Sure enough, Namor still played. In the last 10 minutes of the first half, with Bashi trailing by 2 goals, he came out on the field. The fans are crazy. Even if it was only 10 minutes, they would not have any doubt that this man could bring glory to Team Bashi. Bashi's teammates smiled when they saw Namor on the field. The trepidation in their hearts seemed to be dispelled. Because the brain of the Bashi team has returned, the team's offensive engine is ready. Jiang Ning blew the whistle and signaled that the game continued. Team Bach holds the ball. The goalkeeper handed the ball to the backfield and slowly passed it forward. Nemo is in the middle of the front of the team, and on the left and right stand 2 excellent strikers, Richarlison and Vinicius. At this moment, the Bashi team's forward line has really become sharp, because only Namor can let their strength fully unleash. Namor ran slowly in the front court, and when he passed by Jiang Ning's side, he deliberately looked at Jiang Ning twice. In Namor's heart, he is also looking forward to this game. He also wanted to see how comfortable it would be to play with a fair referee present, because he saw Main's game and wanted to run as much as he wanted. At this time, the football was passed by the midfielders. Find the location of Namor. Out of the corner of his eye, Namor saw the football flying towards him. I saw that his body still maintained a forward posture, and did not slow down in any way because he was about to take the football. However, when the football fell, his heel lifted slightly. Boom! The football landed precisely behind his feet. With such a gentle touch on his heel, he stopped behind Namor obediently like a child. Wow, it's worthy of Namor. The momentum of the team will be different after playing. Team Selvi, you see, there is not much time left for you. The team needs Namor. He's too important as the heart of the team. Good skills, you can always choose Namor. It's great. The audience erupted into a tsunami-like shouts and cheers. Just as soon as he appeared, it caused crazy cheers from the fans of the Boshi team, and the atmosphere of the scene was detonated. Back on the pitch, Namor's heel stop is so beautiful. Without enough technical support, who dares to stop the ball like this? Who can be so easy without perfect control of the trajectory of football? This is Namor. Just one stoppage action made the fans boil. Unique in the world, Namor-style football. Shout. Just as Namor won the football, two Selvi defenders rushed in front of him. They are tall and try to block Namor's path with their bodies. Namor paused and stepped on the football under his feet. Immediately afterwards, a smile appeared on Namor's face. The two Selvi defenders looked a little solemn. Especially after seeing the smile on Namor's face, he was even more shocked. He smiled? It seems to be laughing. How can he laugh, and laugh so confidently? Suddenly, the two defenders of the Selvi team were furious. They felt a sense of humiliation at this moment, because Namor's smile showed that he didn't put the two of himself in his eyes at all. Shout. At this moment, Namor also suddenly moved. Namor's foot moved, and he carried the football to his right heel. At the same time, his left foot also stretched back. Namor's 2 feet clamped the football. Immediately after, Namor jumped gently. Shout. The football was also hooked by Namor's 2 feet and rushed into the sky. This is an extremely thoughtful person. While jumping, clamp the 2 feet of the football and push back and up. The football immediately flies high in the air and draws an arc in the air. This picture is extremely shocking, especially from the side. It will be more intuitive. If you look at it from the side, you will see the football flying from behind Namor and then flying forward from behind, striking directly into the sky, bypassing the obstacle. Shout. And after doing this, Namor had also quickly launched and bypassed from the side of the two. When Namor bypassed the two and came behind them, the football also happened to fall at his feet. The whole process, Namor didn't even look up at the football. All the action trajectories and landing points of football are well known to him. Perfect prediction. That's what top star Namor did. It is full of ornamental and at the same time extremely lethal. What? Damn it. Hurry up. Only then did the two players from Team Selvi react. It's just that when they want to catch up, Namor has already rushed to the Selvi penalty area with the watch. Wow. The fans erupted into deafening screams again. Just now a heel stop, now a beautiful overhead pass. Namor football. At this time, Namor has come outside the penalty area, and with his ability, this position can completely come to a long-range shot. But at this moment, another defensive player of the Selvi team rushed towards his position 4.4. Immediately afterwards, he slammed into Namor's body. Moreover, at the same time that the defender was about to crash into Namor, he also raised his hands high. This move, as if signaling the referee, did not have any movement on his hand, and he did not foul. The reason why it hit Namor was just that the brakes were too late. Boom! A muffled sound came. The Selvi defender and Namor both fell to the ground. Namor covered his head in pain and rolled on the ground, and the players of the Selvi team also covered their stomachs after seeing Namor's situation, and they were also unwilling to get up. Beep! Jiang Ning blew the whistle, and he ran quickly, and at this time everyone's eyes were focused on Jiang Ning. All the fans, including countless spectators who watched the match through the live broadcast, also showed a look of anticipation. Can Jiang Ning, this referee from Huaxia, give Namor hope?